One thing nobody really talks about in dating is overgiving and overperforming. I used to do it for years because I genuinely believed if I just give you everything, if you never have to ask, if I just make sure everything is taken care of, then you're going to choose me and you're going to be safe and you're going to love me. But I had to really come to the harsh reality that you're not overgiving because you're generous. You're overgiving because you're terrified of not being enough. And what no one tells you is overgiving doesn't drain you. It doesn't just drain you. It pushes away the exact kind of partner you're trying to attract. And I'm going to break down why in the next few minutes. And guys, as always, if you need anything, check it out. You can work one-on-one. You can book a session. You can ask a question. Or if you're exhausted from carrying every entire relationship on your back, planning everything, initiating everything, doing all the emotional labor, you don't need to try harder. You need healthier boundaries. And the Healthy Dating Foundation course teaches you how to pace yourself, stop performing, and actually trust meeting people that will meet you halfway. So if you're done draining yourself and fucking accepting breadcrumbs and bullshit, the link is below or at sabrinazohar.com. Okay, let's talk about it because a lot of people think that overgiving is like a strategy to get people to like you, but it's actually a control strategy. So let's start with the uncomfortable part. Overgiving isn't selfless, it's actually strategic. I'm not saying this is out of malice, so I want to make sure that we hold space for this. This is not about like you're such a bad person. On the surface, it looks like you're being really generous. You plan the dates, you check in first, you do the emotional labor, you make everything easy for them. But underneath, you're trying to control the outcome. And here's what like you're probably thinking. If I do more, they'll stay. If I make myself indispensable, they won't leave me. If I'm low maintenance enough, they're going to choose me, duh. But that's not love. That's truly emotional micromanagement because you're trying to engineer their feelings for you by becoming what you think they need instead of showing up as who you actually are. I literally used to overgive until I was blue in the face, and then resentment started to build. I was getting exhausted. My needs weren't being met. And the trap is that the more you overgive, the less they actually know you. You're not presenting your real self. You're presenting the easy, accommodating, I don't need anything version, but that version is not sustainable because you're eventually and inevitably going to burn out. They're going to be confused because they thought this is who you were. And then all of a sudden we come into, again, bait and switch where they're like, wait a minute, I understand. You said you didn't have any of these needs and everything was okay. And now all of a sudden it's like a huge issue. But you're not giving to them. You're giving to keep your anxiety quiet. And that's why I was saying it's a hard truth. So the other hard truth, overgiving hides your real needs. That's it. That's it. Like, you don't actually get to show up. You don't get to take space. You don't get to say, oh my God, here's what I need. No. You're going to keep overgiving because it's a fear response. And you're afraid that if you ask for anything, if you express a need, if you set a boundary, you show that you're not perfectly fine all the time, that they'll leave. So you don't ask, right? You're just going to anticipate and you overfunction. You become the person who doesn't need anything. And on the surface, that might feel safe. But what's actually happening is you're training them to believe you don't have any needs. And so then if you do, if you're like, hey, here's what I need, they're going to be like, what? Where did this come from? But you never told me that. And you're like, oh, yeah, that's true, right? And it's no one's right or wrong. But when you finally do need something, maybe that's reassurance. Maybe that's consistency. Maybe that's effort. They're blindsided because you've spent months showing them that you're fine without it. And then the worst is like healthy people don't stick around for this dynamic because healthy people want reciprocity, not a one-sided performance. They want to feel needed. They want to also give. And when you refuse to let them, then you show that your real self isn't somebody that they actually can see. And then you won't see, or they won't see, well, neither one of you, for that matter, will see who the other person really is, and then they're going to back off. And then what ends up happening, you're like, oh my God, see, I wasn't enough, and there's something wrong with me. And it's not because they don't care. It's not. It's because they can't connect to someone who won't let them in. And so that's called a fawn response, and it's a trauma response. It's one of the four. We have fight, flight, freeze, fawn. And it shows up when you learned early on that your safety depended on keeping other people comfortable. So for me, like I grew up in a home where I had to walk on eggshells. I was constantly managing my narcissistic parents' emotions. I was staying small to avoid conflict. I wasn't rocking the boat. I never wanted to say anything because I didn't want to be too much, because if I'm too much, then they're going to leave me. And if they leave me, I'm abandoned. Well, so what did you learn? You learned that the way to stay safe is to stay useful. And now you do the same in dating. I even had my therapist who told me, she said, hey, you're overperforming. You're overperforming in your relationship. And she said, you're overfunctioning. Not even just overperforming, you're overfunctioning. And she said, you If your partner is lacking in one way, you come in and do it all. And it's not actually sustainable for the relationship. And I had to learn to sit in that discomfort of, okay, I don't have to do anything right now. I can also let the other person step closer to me. And I hear this all the time too, and especially in the early stages of dating. I'll talk to clients and they'll say, man, this person texts me every single day and all day, and it doesn't even give me the chance to reach out to them, to show up. Because here's the beautiful thing. If you give a little space, you don't keep overperforming and overfunctioning and overgiving, then you actually give space to see if this person has the bandwidth and the tools for what it is that you want, and if you guys reciprocate. And that's the beauty of allowing naturalness to happen. So, a third truth, overgiving is a trauma response, but let me be clear. It's not random behavior. And no, it's not just how you are. It's a survival mechanism. So we were talking about if you grew up in an environment where love felt conditional, you had to earn it, you had to perform, you had to stay small, your nervous system developed the strategy. If I meet everyone else's needs, maybe they'll stay. And maybe it did work, right? Maybe being the good kid, the responsible one, the one who never caused any problems, that did keep you safe. But what worked in childhood isn't working in adult relationships because you're not dating your mother and father. Now you're attracting partners who just take, 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 take. And it might not be because they're bad, but because you've made it clear that giving is your role. And the more you give, the less they feel they need to reciprocate. Again, might not be out of malice. Sometimes it might be. And that's the thing, is sometimes you might get people, narcissistic fuckers, people that are just not healthy, that are toxic, take, 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 take. And that's the thing. It's not about getting mad at the takers. It's about being responsible as the giver. And I had to learn that. I have a clothing company called Software, wearsoftware.com. And I used to, any guy I would go on a date with, I would give him a piece. And my therapist years ago said, they're not the ones that are responsible anymore. It's you. You're the one that needs to say, I don't want to keep giving. I don't want to. But when the dynamic is already established, there is the problem. We create a cycle. You overgive to feel secure. They relax into receiving. You resent them for not giving back, but you never ask them to give back. So they assume everything's fine. And then resentment starts to build, which we know. And then one day you might explode, or you shut down, or you leave, and now they're confused. Because from their perspective, you never said anything was wrong. But you did. You just said it through exhaustion, through bitterness, silent scorekeeping, instead of just using our words. And again, none of this is about shame or blame. And I want to just be sure about that. None of this is because you're a bad person or you're stupid. None of it is. You're human. It's now just about us going, oh, okay, I was doing that as a fawn response. I don't want to do that anymore. Because overgiving creates imbalance and resentment. And what nobody tells you is imbalance kills attraction. When one person is doing 90% of the work, the dynamic shifts from partnership to caretaking. Caretaking is not sexy. It's not sustainable. That's not connection. And so we have to look, the person that you're overgiving to, they start to relax. They stop putting in effort, not because they're lazy or selfish, but because you're already handling everything. So, okay. And on your end, you're starting to resent them. You resent that they're not texting first, they're not planning, they're not asking how you are, they're not showing up in the way you show up for them. But the reality is you trained them to treat you this way because of what you allow. You didn't set boundaries. You never asked for reciprocity. You never communicated your needs. So how would they have any idea you were drowning if you kept smiling, kept giving, kept pretending everything was okay, and now you're angry at them for something they didn't even know was a problem? And that's why I'm saying I want to just make sure that you're not blaming or shaming yourself, but going, oh, fuck. Okay. So that's my pattern. Now what can I do? Right. I see it all the time. People overgive for months. They ignore all the red flags. They make the excuses. They carry the entire emotional load of the relationship. And then they're devastated when the person doesn't step up. But how can people read your mind? The person never needed to step up because you were already doing all of it. So the shift, stop trying to earn love, start requiring it. Stop overfunctioning and start letting people show you who they are without your fucking help. Stop giving to avoid rejection and start asking and letting their response be information for you. Another truth, overgiving erases your identity and truly kills desire. And this is the final truth. It's the one that genuinely changes everything and changed it for me. People don't desire what you provide. They desire who you are. So when you overgive, you erase yourself. You become a function, not a fucking human. You become the person who plans everything, the person who's always there, the person who never needs anything. But where is you in all of that? Where are your interests? Where are your boundaries? Where are your needs? Where's your personality? Where are you saying no? You've hidden them because you thought if you revealed them, I'm going to be too much, or maybe not enough, or they'd leave. But desire doesn't grow from convenience. It grows from presence. It grows from two people who are attracted to somebody that wants the same life, that has similar opinions, boundaries, needs, people who aren't performing, people who show up as themselves, not as who you think you want, not as who you think they want you to be. Here's the psychology. When you overgive, you create a parent-child dynamic. You're managing, they're receiving, and that kills desire on both ends. They stop seeing you as a partner. They see you as a caretaker. And caretakers are not romantic interests. They're a function. They're a function. And at the end, you stop seeing them as an equal. You see them as someone you have to manage, and you can't desire someone you're constantly trying to control. Attraction requires two people that are willing to invest and do the work, not one person doing 90% and the other one just receiving. So if you want healthy love, the kind mutual, reciprocal, sustainable, you have to stop performing and start showing up. You have to let people earn access to you instead of just giving it freely. You have to trust that the right person will want and have the bandwidth to meet you halfway. And the wrong person will show themselves out when you stop doing all of the fucking work. When people show you who they are, believe them. We don't need to convince people to be with us. And I think part of this work is also grieving that people are going to walk out, grieving that people are not going to like what you do or how you operate. But you don't need to work this hard. You never did. You need a foundation that lets you connect from confidence instead of fear, one that teaches you how to set boundaries, pace yourself, and trust people to show up without you forcing it. And that's exactly what you learn in the Healthy Dating Foundation course. Remember, it's linked in the show notes when you are ready to stop overgiving and start to actually receive the love you fucking deserve. So guys, if you need more, we got the podcast right here on YouTube, The Sabrina Zohar Show. You can watch more of the shorts. You can work one-on-one, ask a question, join one of the courses, or just be here. And thank you guys. I'm curious. Write it in the comments. What are you done overgiving? How do you show up in that dynamic? And how are we going to move on from that together? Until next time, babes.